Hi everyone, this is Shivang Mehta and welcome to Earth Hour, the world's largest grassroots level environmental movement. In 2009, Earth Hour was introduced in India by WWF-India, and since then, people, government buildings, landmarks, monuments, they all switch off their lights for that 1 hour to join this movement. During the daily hustle and bustle of our lives, we often tend to forget and ignore the key issues pertaining to climate change. And Earth Hour is a reminder to all of us that if we can donate that 1 hour to our planet, we can help protect it because we have very little time to do so. For the 2024 edition of Earth Hour, I am sitting out here in Ranthambore National Park, the land of tigers, to give you guys a virtual safari experience in Ranthambore. I'll be using my experiences in wildlife photography to talk about equipments, safari planning, photography tips, and a whole lot of other things. So what are we waiting for? Let's head out and experience this virtual safari along with this little wildlife enthusiast from Delhi.
Hi everybody, my name is Shivang Mehta and I am from Delhi. This is my fourth visit to Ranthambore and I love this park. So let us all celebrate Earth Hour together.
Let's go. So before we head out in the field, I would like you guys to take a peek into my camera bag. So this, as you can see, is a binocular, a very important tool for any wildlife photographer. You know, as wildlife photographers, we tend to forget and ignore the importance of a binocular. But so I've got these two camera bodies out here. You know, I always recommend people to go with two camera bodies. So this is a very handy piece of lens. It's a zoom lens. It's a 100 to 400. That is a 400 2.8. You know, it's a prime lens. It's meant for long-range photography, and also since it's a 2.8 lens, it works very well in low light conditions. And this is my favorite, a small little wide-angle zoom lens, a 24-105, which is very, very useful in creating those environmental images of wildlife. So that is all I'm carrying with me, along with some extra batteries and memory cards for this Ranthambore safari. So now let's get to the park gate and experience Ranthambore. So great safari experiences are made because of perfect planning, and your nature guide plays a very important role in planning your safari. So I have here with me Shakir Ali, who has been my companion for more than a decade. So Shakir bhai, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
आज का कौन सा zone है?
We are going to number 4.
So it's zone number 4. Ranthambore is divided in 10 zones, and today we have been allocated zone number 4. So let's go and see what happens out there. चलिए शाकिर भाई. Entering the park gate, and we are moving through the Fort Road of Ranthambore. This is a road which is used by pilgrims because there's a Ganesh temple at the top of the Ranthambore fort, as well as tourists. The access to zone number 1 to 5 is through this particular road, and in the course of the journey we are going to zone 4 right now, where we have a very interesting set of tiger individuals. There's a tigress called Riddhi along with her 3 cubs. She belongs to the famous lake dynasty of Ranthambore, and our plan and idea would be to track her down because apparently she is on a kill right now. So let's see what happens. Brand new safari. We just entered zone number 1, and we just bumped into a tiger. We couldn't identify which tiger this one is because it's in the foliage and it's walking inside the forest. It is all around. All these guys, they have just entered the park gate. Not even 20 meters they've covered and they just bumped into a tiger. So we are currently driving through the characteristic dhok forest of Ranthambore. You know, these trees out here, you see, that's a dhok forest spread widely across Ranthambore. And as a photographer, when I'm trying to photograph subjects out here, be it tigers or spotted deers or bears, leopards, whenever it is possible, I try to include this dhok vegetation in my compositions and frames because this, according to me, defines Ranthambore. For Ranthambore, for me, it's dhok, apart from a few other habitats. Normally remain dry for majority of the year, except in monsoons. In winters, they have a different flavor. Talking about the habitat of Ranthambore, as we are traversing through this beautiful dhok forest, at times we bump into these age-old towering banyan trees. The one behind me should be nearly around 300 years old. 300 years old. And if you get to see a tiger in this backdrop, I think that is going to make my day. It has happened with me in the past few years on 2 or 3 occasions. The tigers have walked through beautiful banyan trees like these. So the tigress we just saw, it just avoided this banyan tree and went past. So we are waiting out here to see if today is the day when we can get this tigress in this kind of a grand backdrop. Even if it doesn't happen, just standing here under this banyan tree and looking at this age-old natural wonder, at times it just gives you goosebumps. After a lot of tracking, we have finally found Riddhi and cubs. They are sitting out there deep inside the foliage, and it's a beautiful morning, great light. So I'm just hoping that this female gets up and moves in a proper clearing so that we can get some good shots.
Riddhi's cubs are sitting over there, 3 cubs.
We are moving inside the foliage. We are still trying to track her down, where she's going to go, and we're trying to get a clear opening. I've had some really interesting memories with this family because, you know, her mother Arrowhead, her grandmother T19 Krishna, and her great-grandmother Machli. These all have been great characters, tiger characters which I have been following in the past 14-15 years out here in Ranthambore. And a lot of these tiger characters have been discussed in my book, A Decade with Tigers. So whenever I see this particular family and this particular bloodline, you know, it's a very nostalgic feeling for me. So we just witnessed a beautiful tiger behavior. When Riddhi and cubs, they came out. So the mother crossed the road with 2 of the cubs and the 3rd cub was missing. And the 3rd cub went searching for his mother and he was calling all the time. The mother came back and still she was not able to locate the cub. And finally all 4 of them united right in the middle of the forest track. They walked quite a bit. So it was truly a wonderful moment. I believe Shreya also got some wonderful images, right?
Yeah, sure. I did get many wonderful images.
Great. So
We're right now sitting in front of this male tiger, T121. So looking at this tiger, I'm just thinking, what are the 3-4 tips I can give you when it comes to tiger photography? So tiger is sitting in front of you. You can probably use your big lenses to take standard portraits. But how to think beyond standard portraits? As I mentioned earlier, every forest has a unique habitat. Use of your zoom lenses and use various focal lengths to in addition to that, every time the tiger is moving around, the light scenario is changing. So you have to be very, very careful in analyzing those light scenarios. So with this particular individual, I'll use this 100-400 lens. Let me give you a practical example on with one tiger using one piece of glass, how you can create various different kind of images.
So knowing your destination is really important for any wildlife photographer. In a country like India, we have more than 50 tiger reserves, and all these tiger reserves are very unique in terms of their own habitat. When you talk about a place like Ranthambore, it's a unique place for me because it's an amalgamation of natural history and ancient history. We have ancient forts, ruined monuments, beautiful lakes like these. And for me, incorporating all these elements into my photography in Ranthambore becomes really important. Right now, we are standing on the banks of the Manik Lake, and for the past many years, I've encountered beautiful moments out here when it comes to tigers and various other species. So we are just waiting for any kind of clue when it comes to Riddhi, because it's assumed that she might be somewhere around here. So what is the key essence of photography? There are two essential elements in photography. One is the science element of photography, and the other is the art element of photography. When it comes to science, the camera is science. It works on the principle of science. And science can be learned easily. There are thousands of tutorials available in today's time which can help you in learning the science element of photography. But art is a never-ending learning process, according to me. So when we talk about the art of photography, there are some key things to keep in mind. Photography, according to me, is all about light. There's no light to illuminate the subject. You can't take images. So for a good photographer, you need to develop a sound understanding of light. Light can fall on the subject from various directions. A subject can be front lit, it can be backlit, it can be side lit. How to treat subjects in various kind of light conditions, that is something which comes with experience, and that is something which defines a photographer. The other key element of photography is developing the art of framing and composition. So what essentially is framing? The nature is like a canvas. When you see through the viewfinder of your camera, it's like a canvas. Now on that canvas, it is up to you as a photographer on how you want to place your subject. So the effectiveness with which you can place a subject in the frame and
and the effectiveness with which you can create something very unique when it comes to the placement of the subject. That is the key element of composition and framing. As I'm standing here on the banks of this lake, there are a lot of creative elements happening around me. Just look at that spotted deer. It's totally backlit right now. It's nicely silhouetted against the waters. There are elements of reflection out here. There are birds hovering around. Everything can turn out to be a very, very interesting image, provided you keep in mind the aspects of light and composition. So let us try some images out here and see what are the unique things which can be done out here at this lake. In every national park of our country, there are certain elements which defines that forest. What you see out here is the element which defines Ranthambore. I'm standing in front of the iconic Rajbagh Palace complex in zone number 3 in Ranthambore. And this used to be a hunting palace earlier, and now this area is occupied by tigers, the dominant tigers around the lakes. For every photographer, it's a dream to photograph a tiger on this palace window or have this kind of a palace structure in his frame. And that becomes that quintessential Ranthambore image. There were few occasions in which I was fortunate enough to document tigers on this palace window. So every time I come here, it's a very nostalgic feeling. And for all of you who are visiting Ranthambore, it's very essential for you to keep in mind, this particular element of Ranthambore, the lakes, monuments like these, and include them into your composition and frame. That will define that it's a pure Ranthambore image. Another beautiful lake memory from the summers of 2015 was when Pac-Man, from the second litter of T19 Krishna, was walking on the banks of these waters out here. And he started approaching this palm tree. And as he approached this palm tree, he tried scratch marking that palm tree. This is where, as a wildlife photographer, you need to be very conscious about the moments in the wild. Because as soon as he started getting down from that palm tree, there was an image which was taken, and it became quite a popular image. It went on to win a few awards. Developing that eye for moments in the wild is something which is really very critical for a wildlife photographer. Shakir and I have spent countless number of years in documenting the life cycle of tigers around the lake area of Ranthambore. So Shakir bhai, इतने साल हमने लेक फैमिलीज के ऊपर काम किया रंथंबोर में, तो आपका सबसे फेवरेट मोमेंट कौन सा है?
वैसे मोमेंट तो बहुत सारे थे, लेकिन जो मेरा जो फेवरेट मोमेंट था वो पेकमैन का जो फर्स्ट किल था, जो उसको किल करना भी नहीं आ रहा था, उसने उसका एक स्पॉटेड डियर का फोन का जो उसने बैग पकड़ा था, उसके बाद काफ़ी स्ट्रगल किया। स्ट्रगल करने के बाद उसने उसका बैक साइड नेक भी बैक साइड से पकड़ा और काफ़ी देर तक वो रोल करता रहा। फिर उसने किल। मुझे याद है उस दिन हम सफारी से खाली हाथ वापस आ रहे थे और लास्ट मोमेंट में हमने डिसीजन लिया कि एक बार और चक्कर काटते हैं। वो डिसीजन बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट था, नहीं तो अपन वो सीक्वेंस देख नहीं पाते। और इतनी
गाड़ियों की भीड़ जमा थी वहाँ पे, हम दूर जाके खड़े हो गए, तो हमको क्या पता था कि
किस डायरेक्शन में उठा है
वो हमारे बाजू से ही स्टॉक करता हुआ आएगा और डियर को पकड़ लेगा. It was a very interesting incident. When we go to zone number 3, we are going to show you that location जहाँ पे Pac-Man had made its first kill in April 2015.
15 का हाँ अकॉर्डिंग ये एक्सीडेंट है 15 के अंदर ही हुआ था. और पैकमैन के बाद उसके पास उसकी बहन लाइटनिंग भी आ गई थी, फिर बाद में एरोहेड भी आ गई थी, लेकिन उसने किसी को खाने नहीं दिया. वो अकेले इसके ऊपर मतलब अपना एक हक जमाने वाली बात है ना कि मैंने फर्स्ट किल किया है तो मैं ही खाऊंगा इसको, किसी को खाने नहीं दूंगा. तो उसकी वो फीलिंग थी उसके अंदर जो हम देख रहे थे. उसको शूट भी किया था अपने सर के साथ. तो वो बहुत ही एक अनफॉरगेट मतलब नहीं भूलने वाला एक एक्सीडेंट था. जो शायद उसके बाद पैकमैन थोड़े दिन बाद माइग्रेट कर गया यहाँ से दूसरी जगह, फिर नॉन टूरिज्म जाके वो टूटा उसकी डेड बॉडी मिली थी. उसका अभी तक कोई पता नहीं चल पाया कि कहानी क्या रही. लेकिन एक बार ज़रूर पैकमैन इस एरिया के अंदर आया था मरने से पहले. नालगाठी में हमें मिला था मई 2017 में. उसके बाद फिर उसी दूसरे दिन ही माइग्रेट करके वापस अपना लाहौर एरिया इंडाला में चला गया था. फिर उसके बाद ट्रैकिंग के दौरान मिडिल ऑफ द रोड पर उसके 2-3 दिन पुरानी डेड बॉडी मिली थी. तो वो बहुत ही अच्छा टाइगर था और बहुत ही ज़्यादा यूज टू था.
Beautiful memories. This is what happens when you keep visiting a location frequently and you keep covering families of tigers over a period of time. Then all you get to remember while traversing through those locations is the memories which you have created. So, especially with Pac-Man and his family, T19 Krishna, Arrowhead, and Lightning, we all have created some wonderful memories. And every time we pass through the lake area, those memories come into my mind and I keep thinking about them.
So guys, I hope you had a wonderful virtual safari in Ranthambore with me. Even I had a wonderful time in Ranthambore preparing this video content for you guys, because it was not only driving through the safari tracks, but it was also driving through the memory lanes where I spent some great time with these magnificent cats of Ranthambore in the past. And this the Earth Hour gave me this opportunity to share those anecdotes with you. My last tips pertaining to photography would be that we all think that great images are created using cameras, but I believe that great images are created using the mind and the soul. Because if you think about it, when you are in a safari kind of a format, when you are driving through a park, when you are driving through when you are doing a game drive, when do you stop the vehicle? You stop the vehicle when your eye catches the attention, when there's some kind of a unique moment happening in front of you, and that moment, that particular subject which is receiving some divine kind of a light, that particular moment touches your soul. And the camera is just a tool for creating an image which you have already created in your mind. So photography is nothing else. It's a act of pre-visualization. An image is created by your soul. Your soul is the sensor. Your mind, it's a kind of a memory card, and through your eyes, what you are seeing, it's a canvas, and you can paint that canvas in the way you want. So if you remember the art element of photography, which I was talking about, which, as I said, it's a never-ending learning process. That is when you will start creating images, and you don't even need a camera to shoot images. There are images that we are driving past through, and we don't even shoot them, but in your mind you are creating those images. So just keep on developing that art of pre-visualization, keep on that creative hunger inside you, and that is when you will keep on creating images which can inspire people. So my last piece of advice for all of you is keep creating and keep inspiring.